I'm quite pleased with how that retaining wall looks. That's the look I was going for. The next thing I'm going to do before I ballast, so I'll probably do it all at the same time, is just put some rock fall down here. Now, rather than using the insulation that I have, I'd quite like to mix it up, and I've just got a pot here that I've just picked up from down in the estuary, and it's ideal. And with a lot of 50-50 mix of PVA, it glues down pretty solid. So I'm going to use this method along here on both edges of the rail. So this is the look that I'm going for on the other side of the layout. This has came from the same estuary, and as you can see, it works quite well, and it's all solid, it's not moving around, and that's just a couple of coats of the 50-50 PVA and water. I think it's really effective, and obviously it hasn't cost a penny. So I'll get this ballasted in first, and then I'll put the rock formations in, perhaps do a bit more scenery along here. But one thing I just did want to share with you is last time I did some ballasting, for whatever reason the PVA and the water didn't mix very well, so every time I used a syringe I was getting big dollops of PVA in random places. I had to dab them out, and it was very annoying. So I started filtering with these paint strainers. Now you can get these off online. So these are just paint strainers, so once you've mixed your paint to spray your vehicle, you then just strain it through this filter. I think these are 190 micron mesh. So once you do your PVA mix, pour it through here, and it'll just catch all the big clumps of PVA if it hasn't been stirred or shaken properly, and it just saves you the hassle of having to pick blobs of glue off your ballast once you've finished. So that's the ballast in place. Now I have put it on a 4mm cork bed to give it that ballast shoulder. You might be wondering why up here it hasn't. I decided just to give myself a little bit of different in height from the mains. I've actually come off the cork and just let it drop down slightly, just so they're at slightly different heights, just to give it a bit of interest to look at. Now I don't know if you guys do any of this, but I always just run some rolling stock along before I glue down, just to make sure it's nice and quiet and there's nothing in the way. Just another little tip for you guys that need any tips on ballasting. I'm sure you don't, but I'm sure there's probably others out there that are listening to me now that perhaps wouldn't mind a couple of tips here and there. I've learnt the hard way with it, unfortunately, by laying ballast down, thinking it looks great, gluing it down, and then getting derailments. Then unfortunately with a tiny screwdriver having to pick little bits off the inside of the rails. I certainly don't want anybody else to have to do that. It was not very fun at all. So you can see the real stones down against the foam ones that I've made. They look pretty similar. In fact, I probably could have just used the real ones here rather than worried about hand painting all these little bits, but you know, we think of these things afterwards sometimes. I'm going to glue all that down now with 50-50 PVA at the same time as the ballast, and I can leave that to dry for the next couple of days.